Thank you for tuning into the GSMC Soccer Podcast brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. We have a great show for you today. We will be covering Real Madrid's electric comeback over Borussia Dortmund. We'll discuss today's Champions League fixtures. We'll discuss Barcelona versus Bayern Munich coming up tomorrow. We'll also preview the rest of tomorrow's Champions League fixtures or Wednesday's Champions League fixtures. And make sure you stick around for the end of the show. I'll be giving you my reactions to some of the top headlines going on in the soccer world. If you have a question during the show, we want to hear it. Your input is a big part of what makes the show successful, and we thrive on your energy and insights. Whether it's a quick comment, a thoughtful question, or an opinion you just have to share, don't hesitate to drop it in the chat. And if you want to make absolutely sure your message stands out and gets featured on the show, there's an easy way to do that. Use the super chat feature. Just click the $ at the bottom of the chat box to send in your super chat. This guarantees that your message gets on the air, and it's also a fantastic way to support our channel. We rely on your support to keep bringing you the sports content you love, and we appreciate every bit of it. So go ahead, let us know what you're thinking. Hit that super chat button, and let's keep this show as interactive and exciting as possible. And if you prefer, you can also go to the GSMCpodcast.net to tip, donate, and leave a comment or question there. We couldn't do what we do without your amazing support, and we're so thankful to have you as part of our community. We have to start off, though, with Real Madrid's electric is one way to describe it. Electric comeback over Borussia Dortmund. Dortmund took the lead in the 30th minute with Daniel Malin, and then doubled it. It was Jamie Bino Gittins, and they played a wonderful first half, and really similar to how they played in the Champions League final, especially in that first 35 minutes or so. Except the only difference was this game they were able to get on the score sheet. And they were able to take advantage of their opportunities. For the last few minutes of the half, they suffered a little bit, but they were able to go in with a 2-0 lead, despite Real Madrid really turning it on that last 5 minutes of that first half. Then in the second half, you just saw pure domination from Real Madrid. Completely dominated this game, suffocated Borussia Dortmund, and yeah, it was inevitable. Not only were they able to draw level 2-2, they were able to get 5 goals past them in that second half. It was just, that was a champion's response after going down 2 goals. And I'm thinking, even if Borussia Dortmund did take the lead in the Champions League final, even if they took advantage of those opportunities that game in the first 60 minutes when they really dominated Real Madrid would have probably still responded beautifully, because that's just Real Madrid. They're never out of it. They have that champions mentality, and the way that they responded to going down 2-0, the domination, I mean, it was just Champions League Real Madrid. I was his best. Vinicius Jr. hat-trick, dominating, and they just completely suffocated Borussia Dortmund. And Dortmund, they just couldn't handle Real Madrid. And I was impressed at the fact that they were able to take the 2-0 lead, Dortmund, just based on what we've seen of them from away so far. And I thought they started off pretty marvelously. They created a lot of opportunities, and they controlled the possession. Well, once they took that 2-goal lead, just everything went against them. They just completely lost the foothold in the game. They couldn't cope with the pressure, with the constant pressure. The defense looked fragile. They could have conceded 7 or 8. That's how dominated they were. That's how much pressure Real Madrid put on this Borussia Dortmund team, and it just shows that there's levels. But it was a great resilience fight from Real Madrid. They did what they do best. They came back in high pressurized moments in many occurrences, in much more high pressurized moments than just another Champions League group stage game. And the way the game shifted from early on Dortmund dominating to Real Madrid just completely taking it over in that second half, and even to an extent in the last 5 minutes of the first half, it was just really, really impressive for Real Madrid. It was a good bounce back too, because if they were to lose this game, they were in danger of only having 3 points through their first 3 games, which would put them in an awkward position if they're trying to clinch a top 8 spot, which automatically gets you into the the knockout stages. You don't, or the round of 16. You don't have to play that extra playoff to get in, which is unnecessary if you're a team like Real Madrid playing that extra playoff. So huge result for them. Great respond. Borussia Dortmund. There's a little bit of a bottling culture at that club, I do have to say. They give me Tottenham vibes, just the club in general, the history of Dortmund, some league titles that they've blown, and that's that's what we saw here. I'm not gonna lie. They bottled that 2-0 lead. They couldn't manage the game. They couldn't put a foothold. Once they took the 2-goal lead and they completely dominated. Once Real Madrid, started getting more control, started piling on the pressure, you didn't see any way Borussia Dortmund was able to manage it. They had no control in that second half, which when you're playing with a 2-goal lead, you need to take the air out of the ball. There's certain periods where you just need to be able to hold on to it for 5 minutes just to relieve that pressure. Borussia Dortmund couldn't do that at all. They constantly were giving it away on the press. And it was really ironic because it was Borussia Dortmund that kept regaining possession as soon as they lost it in that first half. But in the second half, it completely shifted to Real Madrid. Really, it was I wouldn't say a battle of two halves, because I think once that second goal came in, Real Madrid, they turned it on for that last 5 to 10 minutes of the half. They hit the post multiple times, I believe 3 times, and they had some clear cutout opportunities to cut the deficit before halftime. But it was a tale. It was a different game in the first 35 minutes compared to the rest of the game. It was just polar opposites. And this is what Real Madrid has been. Even when they're uncomfortable, they're comfortable. Even when they don't have possession of the ball, they're still able to be clinical with the opportunities that they come. Even when they go down and then they're in a dangerous situation, they can turn it on out of nowhere. That really is Real Madrid's DNA. What this Real Madrid team is. Vinicius Jr., he's just a different player. He's just a completely different player when he puts on that Real Madrid jersey. Compared to what he is with Brazil, just a completely different player. The dominance game in, game out, the importance that he provides as well for this Real Madrid team, how important he is, the skill, the quality he has, his ability on the pace. I mean, that goal cutting in onto his right foot. I mean, what a sensational goal. Just a sensational goal. Ancelotti, after the game, saying Vinicius Jr. will win the Ballon d'Or. In my opinion, he will get the award. It's not about tonight. It's what he did last season. Tonight's hat-trick can help his case for next Ballon d'Or. Even Lucas Vazquez saying, I told Vini Jr. that he's the Ballon d'Or after every goal tonight. The second half of Vinicius should be shown to all children so they can see how football is played. It was that kind of magisterial performance. Obviously, he was player of the match. And I do have to say, it keeps reiterating Vinicius Jr. is the best player on this Real Madrid team. Yes, Mbappe, is a really, really good player, really, really talented player. But Vinicius has been the player that has been that very important piece, really carried them in key moments throughout this, run that they've been having post Cristiano Ronaldo. It's been him. And for us to think, Mbappe was just going to take that reign as the leader and as the most important player for Real Madrid, maybe it was a little naive. I didn't believe that because I think it's a hard transition to make into a team that's this good, to suddenly become the main man for the team, especially with a player like Vinicius there who it plays Mbappe's primary position. But yeah, I mean, And also, what he's done at Real Madrid has been remarkable. I mean, you go back to 2020 when he was initially came in, there was a lot of people that thought he was a flop. A few years later now, multiple people is saying he's the Ballon d'Or. You see the praise that he's getting, and I just wish that this Vinicius Jr. would show up for Brazil, because that'd be a game changing. And obviously, playing for Brazil and Real Madrid is different. The pressure of playing for that Seleção and the quality that he has around him is different. Even though when it comes to international teams, there's not, even in this current Brazil, there's not much teams that have more quality, more national teams that have more quality, more flair to them. But at the same time, he's just two different players, And for Brazil's case, as a Brazilian national team fan, I really, really, really would like to see this with Brazil. I do have to say. And again, I reiterate, important win for Real Madrid in the fact that, they lost their last Champions League game, and they don't want to be sitting, with anything less than 6 points with 2 games, was top 8 qualified automatically for the knockout stages. They want to get into that. As far as Borussia Dortmund, not the worst loss in the world. They're still sitting in a good position with 6 points from 3 games. Their goal differential is still at a high mark because of the 7-1 win that they had over Celtic. So they're still in a good place in their goal differential, and yeah, it's just, their away form reared its ugly head yet again, and playing at Santiago Bernabeu is difficult. It's a difficult atmosphere to play in. Short break here coming up. When we come back, we will do a full reaction to today's Champions League fixtures.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits, I'm losing shit. A stupid myth, you choose to live or choose to dip. You choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?
Before the break, we discussed. Before the break, we did a full reaction to Real Madrid's electric comeback over Dortmund. We move on to do a full reaction to today's Champions League fixtures, and as far as today's Champions League fixtures, we had some pretty decent games. Obviously, we're not going to discuss Real Madrid take on Borussia Dortmund because we discussed that last segment, but we know what happened. Epic comeback from Real Madrid, coming down 2 goals and scoring 5 unanswered. Talk about this game being an important game for Monaco because they were against Crvena, because they entered this game already with 4 points through 2 games, and if they won this game, they'd have 7 points and they'd be sitting pretty in terms of trying to qualify for the knockout stages. It was 3 games so far, and they have won it, and they won it in dominant fashion. They beat Crvena 5-1. Similar scenario for Sporting Lisbon against Sturm Graz. Sturm Graz going up against one of the weirdest kind of opposition Sporting Lisbon did. They came in with 4 points. A win here would have put them in a really good position, 7 points through 3 games, and they got that result. So those two teams taking advantage of weaker opposition, taking the points when they come, brilliant from those two oppositions. Girona, they get their first win in this Champions League campaign, first Champions League that they played in. This is a Girona team that has relatively struggled this season with the loss of a lot of key players. But they got the 2-0 win over Slovan Bratislava, which now they're sitting with 3 points after 3 games, which is not the best start, but they got off the mark and now they can try to push for something going forward. Milan as well. Milan, big game for them. They only had two. They didn't have a single point coming in, and they really needed to turn it on because AC Milan getting eliminated in the group stages would just be a complete and utter disaster. And honestly, it won't take much to put yourself in a position to be playing at least a knockout stage game in January to get into the round of 16. That extra playoff game is not going to take much. You can finish 24th and be in there. So for Milan, getting this win was really, really vital, important against Club Brugge, an opposition that's not much. That's pretty poor in Champions League standards. Christian Pulisic, what a player. He continues to be consistent. That's all we wanted to see, some consistency, and he's been absolutely consistent. He's been available. He's scoring a lot of different type of goals. He's driving past players and showing his quality. He's taking advantage of set pieces. He's the penalty kick taker. Now he's scoring Olympiacos. Scoring direct from the corner kick. He is just an X factor, and when he's hot, there's not many players in this world better than him. He's really, right now, he's playing like a world-class player and a world-class talent, and they need to go through more than him. I firmly believe he is a more consistent player than Rafael Leao. Now, Rafael Leao, maybe at his peak, is more dangerous and would cause a little bit more trouble for an opposition. But in terms of, but Christian Pulisic, he can be as a nightmare, and he's doing it on a consistent basis as well, and he is dominating. He really is, in my opinion, more important to this AC Milan team, and he's been a great signing up to this point. He's doing it in big games in the Champions League, and he scored in that game against Liverpool as well, scoring goals here. We know at Serie A he's one of the top goal scorers as well, and great win for AC Milan. They brought back some of the players that weren't involved this weekend, which we assume was because of the penalty kick incident. You had Fikayo Tomori back into this team, Theo Hernandez back in this team as well. And they won and played pretty good in this game, taking advantage of the San Siro crowd. Good win for AC Milan. Important win for AC Milan as well. Huge win for AC Milan. Where should we go next? Let's go with Juventus getting shocked. Juventus, who've had a good season so far, suffered their first loss in the season. They haven't lost at all first loss in their first loss of the season. They had 4 draws in Serie A, 4 wins, 4 draws, but they have not lost a single game this season till today. It came against Stuttgart. It came at home at the Allianz Stadium, which makes it just that little bit worse. They didn't necessarily dominate the game as you expected with them playing at home. They got a red card in the 84th minute. I thought Stuttgart was still the better team before that red card, and they had the better chances to win. You look at the stats. The red card came in the 84th minute, but this is the stats over the 90 minutes. Stuttgart had 51% of the possession. They had 10 shots on target to 1 for Juventus, 22 shots for Stuttgart, for 7 for Juventus. I have to say, Stuttgart, they were comfortable. Juventus, the goal came late with Bilal, but Juventus didn't play good football at all, and they haven't really played the most scintillating football this season per se. But I was surprised in how Stuttgart looked. In Stuttgart, they play a good game at Bernabeu, and I don't believe that they're scared of this. This pressure of that comes of going away in the Champions League. But the way that they played, I thought it was very, very impressive. And they were very aggressive throughout the game. They were going for it, and I think eventually that goal came from Bilal Traore. It was deserved. Stuttgart, they also had the chance to take the lead 4 minutes before that. Before that goal, I believe, when Enzo Miliot penalty after the VAR check that led to Danilo, which led him to getting sent off. But Perrin saved it, and Stuttgart had other chances. Undev, he had an early disallowed goal. He had another opportunity here and there, and yeah, Stuttgart deserved it. And Thiago Motta, he said it himself. Stuttgart clearly deserved it. They were better than us from the first minute. We must digest this as quickly as possible, get back to our feet to prepare for the next league game at Inter. We couldn't manage to take away the control of the game that they had. They're a team. When they have control of the game, they put you in difficulty. They have good players. They're a well-structured team, well-organized. They're a tough team to face. We suffered today, and I repeat that they deserved to win. So, good win for Stuttgart. Juventus, they're still not in a bad position with 6 points through 3 games. Not a horrible place to be in. As far as Stuttgart, massive results for them. They're now sitting in 4 points through 3 games. Decent start from them. The one loss that they had was away to Real Madrid, which is acceptable, and it's a performance. They were aggressive. They went for it there. They're not afraid to go for it away against some of these big European teams. I know Juventus hasn't been the biggest so far in the past few years or so, but we know the pedigree that Juventus has. I'm really impressed with the way Stuttgart go about it. I think they're well managed. I think they're fearless. I love how they play under Sebastian Hoeneß, who big teams should be looking at. I do have to say, this is a manager that gets the best out of the sum of his team. It was reported that he turned down Man United, according to reports. And I understand why. If it is true, I understand why United went after him. He really is a brilliant, brilliant manager, and it's a manager to look out for in terms of making that big move soon into to a bigger club. That is Juventus Stuttgart. So I'm wondering which of these games should we go. PSG draw with PSV. Eindhoven, bad result for PSG. Now they want to go down. Noling showed his quality, and PSG had to dig themselves out of an early hole. Achraf Hakimi eventually got the equalizer, but I expected a better response to their last Champions League game. I think playing this game at home, I thought it was a real chance for PSG to send a statement, to get that sour taste out of that, out of that disappointing loss that they had to Arsenal in the last Champions League game. But PSG lackluster yet again. They've been lackluster so far this entire Champions League campaign. Girona, they didn't, lack that cutting edge. They took advantage of a horrible goalkeeping mistake right at the end, or that would have been a drop point too. Imagine if they didn't win that game. They'd be sitting on 2 points through 3 games. That would have been a really, really bad start. And PSG, they really looked poor yet again. They're still sitting with 4 points after 3 games, which is not bad. But I just thought PSG just looked so lackluster, and it's disappointing. Aston Villa got a 2-0 win for Bologna. A 2-0 win over Bologna at home. Goals from John McGinn in the 55th minute and John Duran in the 64th minute, which is ironic because John Duran was about to get subbed off for Ollie Watkins. Then he comes up with that second goal. And, Aston Villa, 3 for 3. Perfect so far in the Champions League. What a great start to their Champions League campaign for a team that has never been in the Champions League since it's been named the Champions League. As far as Bologna, they're currently sitting with a point in their first 3. Not a great start from them. But as far as Aston Villa, what a manager Unai Emery is, and this is Aston Villa team. They'll reach the knockout stages for sure. There were 9 points is a really perfect start for them. They're sitting top of the UCL, which could change, is subject to change with games coming up. But this is a team under Unai Emery. They haven't conceded a single goal in the Champions League. They could be a dangerous, sneaky team in this Champions League. I'm not saying they're going to win it. I'm not saying they're going to go to the final or anything like that. But they can be a team that causes an upset here and there. No doubts about it. The way that they go about it, the balance of having good tactical discipline and being able to defend really, really well, but still be able to create enough clear-cut opportunities and take advantage of quality of players like Jean Duran, Ollie Watkins, Leon Bailey. This is a really, really good team, and they can attack you in different ways. And they're being managed by a brilliant cup manager. We know what Unai Emery has done in the Europa League. He's also led Villarreal to a Champions League semi-final with the huge, lack of budget at Villarreal. If you compare them to direct teams that they're competing for in the Champions League, getting to that team semi-final, I think is, probably even more impressive than all the Europa Leagues that he's won. He's a great manager, Unai Emery is, and if you can take Villarreal to a Champions League semi-final, why can't you take Aston Villa, with a much bigger budget? In my opinion, this team has more quality when it comes to the individuals as well. This is a team to look out for. Last game, Arsenal, who are coming off that bad loss that they suffered to Bournemouth, and goal came in the 29th minute. It was an own call from Riznik to give Arsenal the lead against Shakhtar Donetsk. Partey played a really, really good game, controlled the game with and without the ball. But again, wasn't the most impressive showing. But Arsenal, they did get the result. But I do have to say, this team does lack creativity right now. They're not the most, they needed an own goal to get this scrappy sort of win. They did miss a penalty in the second half, and they squandered a lot of clear-cut or some good opportunities. But Arsenal never really dominated this game. They didn't dominate this game. They didn't make Shakhtar suffocate. It was almost like they did take the air out of the ball a little bit, and the goal came from a shot from Martinelli that rebounded off the post and hit the back of the goalkeeper, which was the only goal of the game. But the most important thing is, Arsenal, they win this game, even without key players of this team like Bukayo Saka, like Martin Odegaard, and Calafiori actually, he picked up an injury after landing awkwardly following a challenge. That could be a big, big loss, because we know if he's not available for Liverpool, that could be a big, big loss. Saliba is not available. You were expecting probably Calafiori to slide into center half, and they'd probably bring in Kiwior or Ben White or something like that and play Jurriën Timber. Now makes it even more difficult for Mikel Arteta to adapt to that injury going into that Liverpool game, because that's a big, big game against a huge team, and you don't want to put yourself in a vulnerable position there. Short break here coming up. When we come back, we will react to Barcelona, or we'll do a preview of Barcelona take on Bayern Munich.
For the best and latest podcasts available anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC to access free content-rich podcasts on health and wellness, book reviews, sports, entertainment, relationships, social media, movies, technology, finance, and even weird news. Subscribe and download the GSMC Podcast Network's family of shows, available everywhere podcasts are found.
Barcelona, they take on Bayern Munich on tomorrow. Huge game. We know how big Barcelona and Bayern is. Two teams with huge European pedigree, huge European tradition. We're looking forward to it. A lot of storylines here. Robert Lewandowski taking on his former team Bayern. Not the first time he's done it. Not the first time he's taking on Bayern, but that's a story. That's a storyline there. Hansi Flick taking on his former team for the first time as well. In Bayern Munich, we know he was managed by Germany, so you can't really play Bayern when you're managing an international team. So a huge element there. Both teams are currently sitting in a really good position in their league. Barcelona sitting top of their league, 3 points clear of Real Madrid, have 9 wins from 10. Absolutely sensational start to their season. As far as Bayern Munich, they're also sitting first in Bundesliga. They've had a really good start as well, scoring 24 goals in 7 games, only conceding 7 as well, having a 17 goal differential through 7 games, 5 wins from 7, 2 draws, 17 points, sitting top, tied with Leipzig. Good start for them when you take in the fact that that they lost the league title last season against an amazing Leverkusen team, to put in context. But we know that's that's not the standard of Bayern to not win Bundesliga. They win Bundesligas year in and year out. So these two teams coming in a high level, and we are really blessed. This is a great football league. We have Real Madrid taking on Dortmund, which ended up being an electric game tomorrow, or technically today because we're past midnight. We have Barcelona that's going to take on Bayern. And then this weekend we get, the champions, the El Clasico showdown between Barcelona and Real Madrid, which will be interesting to see how those two teams respond to these huge emotional midweek Champions League days. Because when you play a game like this midweek, there could be a little bit of an emotional letdown. But I think the fact that it's El Clasico of all games, that puts it out the window. I think the intensity and focus changes. But as far as this game, I think both teams really have an opportunity to show us what they've done this season hasn't been a fluke. these are two teams that they'll be playing their most difficult game of the season, to this point. Especially with Barcelona. Barcelona haven't really been tested. When I say tested, they've played some difficult opposition this season. They played Villarreal, which is they're a decent team, and they've had a few difficult tests here and there. And Bayern, they have taken on Bayern Leverkusen, which is also a very, very difficult test. But taking on Barcelona, going away to Barcelona as well. This game, yes, is not being played at the Camp Nou, but still be played in Spain. Still have the Barcelona crowd. I think it's a good test for Vincent Kompany's team to see how they respond to the pressure. How do they play against a team that's been really hot. Both of these teams have been so impressive this season. I really believe this is a heavyweight showdown. My thing is big test for Bayern. Defensively, we'll see if this team is really up to it. This is a Barcelona team so far this season that has scored 33 goals in 10 games. They're averaging more than 3 goals a game in La Liga. More than 3 goals a game in La Liga. They create a lot of opportunities. They have players playing at their top elite form. Robert Lewandowski has been amazing this season. Rafinha looks like a completely different player. We know the quality that Lamine Yamal provides. We know how strong this Barcelona unit is. This is a Barcelona team that's put in 5 past Sevilla, 3 past Alaves, 5 past Young Boys, 5 past Villarreal, 4 past Girona, 7 past Valladolid. They are able to create a lot of opportunities and they're able to score a lot of goals. Now, you're going up against a Bayern Munich team that first of all, play a very, very open game and concede a lot of goals. Because of how open that they play, they've already conceded 7 goals this season, 7 goals in 7 games, which doesn't seem like a lot, but but again, for Bayern Munich, not the most strong team, especially defensive team, especially when you look at them against Frankfurt, against Wolfsburg. They can be open to play against, and if you're able to play, if you have the quality to get out of the initial line of pressure from Bayern Munich, the initial counter press that Bayern Munich do really, really well, and if you're able to play out of it and not squander possession, and you have an opportunity to go against this Bayern Munich defense, there is number one. There, you can get at that back line. You can get at Kim Min-jae and Upamecano, who are defensively prone to making mistakes, and they're also put in a vulnerable position. Number one, they're not the greatest partnership. It's not the greatest center back partnership. Just as it is, Upamecano, Kim Min-jae is not that great of a partnership, just let alone. But the fact that how Vincent Kompany wants to play, how both fullbacks are pushed up high and they're split out, they have so much space that they have to cover, they have so much responsibilities, and the onus is on them defensively. You get out of that initial press, you have a lot of space and time that you can really kill off this Bayern Munich team. And Barcelona is the first team, Leverkusen as well, but Leverkusen, they couldn't really play out of the initial press. The quality was lacking when they played against Bayern. This Barcelona team, they'll be able to get out of that initial press. They are not going to suffocate. And they can get out of that Bayern Munich backline. With Robert Lewandowski, Rafinha, Lamine Yamal. Huge test Bayern Munich for defensively as well. I think they'll be able to create and generate their opportunities as well against Barcelona. But I fear for Bayern Munich how they suffer defensively. Now, the one issue with Barcelona is when you don't have that 6 and you're going up against a Bayern Munich team that can counter-press the way that they do, I think Bayern Munich will be able to take advantage of that, because the key with playing out of that, press, getting out of that initial press, is having that 6 that's composed, that can dictate the tempo in midfield, that can make the right position, right pass at the right time. Does Barcelona get that going up against Bayern Munich? Are they able to? Who does Hansi Flick turn to in these situations? We've seen him go with a lot of different options as that holding midfielder. when they lost Marc Casado, who we thought was going to be the answer. Against Sevilla, they played not Casado, not Marc Casado. Who's the one that I forgot the player that got injured. But we've seen against Sevilla, we saw Marc Casado and Pedri playing in that double pivot. I think that will probably be it. Against Alaves, it was Pedri and Marc Casado as well. I think they're very, very important. If they have the quality, and we know Pedri does, but if Casado can stay composed in those situations and not squander the ball in the possession, getting out initially, I think Barcelona could cause this Bayern Munich team some difficulties. I really do, and I'm looking forward to that. As far as Bayern Munich, the counter press has to be resilient. They have to pressure this Barcelona team and try to play the game in Barcelona's half. And when you win the ball, take advantage of the quality that you have with Kane, with Olise, with Gnabry. This is a team with some huge quality and ability as well. But you have to have a right balance in the way you go about it. If I'm Vincent Kompany, these are the sort of games, going up away against Barcelona, you might want to take it down a little bit. You might want to push the back line just 5 yards. Give yourself a little bit of breathing space. You want to attack with your fullbacks, fine. But make sure there's an understanding. While one attacks, the other stays back. You don't want to put yourself in a position that both fullbacks are attacking and you're having to split out your center halves going away at Barcelona. Have that balance. Okay, if Alphonso Davies is going to attack, Guerrero stays back. Guerrero is going to attack, Alphonso Davies stays back. So you always have 3 at the back, which can give you at least you can numerically be equal to the Barcelona players, because you're going to have a front 3 of Lamine Yamal, Rafinha, and Robert Lewandowski. You at least want to be able to match up 1v1 at least. Now, ideally, you always want to have one extra defender over attackers, because you want to have a numerical advantage. But the way Bayern Munich want to go about it, they want to be aggressive. At least put yourself in a position that you can play. You can match the amount of attackers Barcelona has. So have that. That's a very, very important. They need to have that understanding. Kompany needs to preach to them, emphasize to them. Both of y'all cannot attack. Will put us in dangerous position defensively, and better game management as well. Certain periods that maybe Barcelona might be dominating a little bit, it's okay to drop the back line down 10 yards and not leave yourself as open as you are, because it's this is a more than a difficult opposition. This is not some cakewalk. So yeah, that's some of the keys to the game. I do say I'm gonna favor Barcelona in this one. I think defensively Bayern Munich could get exposed in this one. I think both teams are coming in pretty hot. I think Barcelona so far has had a really good season. The combination of Bayern Munich's defense and Barcelona, how much goals that they've been able to generate this season, how many clear-cut out opportunities. I'm going to favor Barcelona this one, but it's a game that I'm looking very excited to, and it's definitely a heavyweight battle. And these are two teams that are both improved from last season. From what we've seen so far this season, I have no doubts about that. Both of these teams have made a leap from last season. Short break here coming up. When we come back, we'll do a full preview of Wednesday's Champions League fixtures.
For the best and latest podcasts available anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC to access free content-rich podcasts on health and wellness, book reviews, sports, entertainment, relationships, social media, movies, technology, finance, and even weird news. Subscribe and download the GSMC Podcast Network's family of shows, available everywhere podcasts are found.
Before the break, we did a preview for Barcelona taking on Bayern Munich. We move on to do a preview of Wednesday's Champions League fixtures. And big games coming up. Obviously, we discussed Barcelona taking on Bayern Munich, so we're not going to preview that game yet again. But there's other really good games, really interesting games. The early games, you have Atalanta taking on Celtic. Now, Celtic had a big win in their opening game. Got a lot of goals. Past Slovan Bratislava as they won 5-1. Then they went away to Borussia Dortmund at the Yellow Wall, and it was reversed. They got dominated. They lost 7-1. Now they have a chance to, take that sour taste out of their mouth. They have to go away again to Bergamo as they take on Atalanta, an Atalanta team that can be difficult to play against. We've seen how they reached the Europa League. They won the Europa League last season. Have had a decent start to Serie A right now. They're sitting in 6th. Suffered a little bit of injuries in preseason, but still play some really good football. They got 5 past Genoa. They got 3 past Shakhtar. They can create a lot of opportunities. So far, this Champions League campaign, they have 4 points from 2 games, which is a pretty decent start for them. Difficult test for Celtic. Atalanta definitely has more quality than Celtic. They're playing this game at home. Can't see anything other than Atalanta win this one. Just the quality. Atalanta got far better quality, and Celtic, they can be open. They can be easy to play against. They're used to being the best team in Scotland, having the most quality, and now they're going up against teams that have better quality than them, and they're still playing the same way. They have no way of adapting under Brendan Rodgers. At least that's what I saw in the Borussia Dortmund game. We'll see if they go with a little bit of a more pragmatic approach against Atalanta, because I think it's suicide. Bayern Leverkusen, they take on Brest. Brest, really good start for them so far in the Champions League. They're perfect. 2 wins from 2. 2 wins from 2. They've only conceded 1 goal. Leverkusen as well. They're 2 wins from 2. They haven't conceded a single goal so far in this Champions League campaign. Obviously, I think Leverkusen is the favorites in this game. Leverkusen, they finished unbeaten last season in the Bundesliga. Finished unbeaten in all competitions besides 1 game, Europa League final. Ridiculous feat. Now, they do go away to France. They do go away to Stade de Roduro, which, it's always difficult to go away in Europe. But overall, the quality, Leverkusen has far better quality. They're coming off a high as well with their win over Eintracht Frankfurt, who, drew against Bayern Munich. That can be a dangerous outfit to play against. I think Leverkusen has this one. Will win this one. So yeah, I'll favor Leverkusen in that. Benfica take on Feyenoord. Benfica, they currently sit 2 wins from 2. Feyenoord, they are 1-1. They lost against Leverkusen, but they were able to bounce back. Benfica, this could be a great opportunity for them. If they win this game and they go for 3 for 9 points, you put yourself in a really good position. Feyenoord, they want to pick up as much points as they can. Going away to Portugal, though, couldn't be difficult. I do favor Benfica in this one. Salzburg taking on Dinamo Zagreb. Red Salzburg Arena. Zagreb only have 1 point from 2. They've conceded 11 goals so far in this campaign. Salzburg, they've been pretty poor as well. 2 losses. They haven't scored a single goal so far. I think this will be a tight affair. I think Salzburg, feeding off the energy at home, probably has the slight advantage there. Man City take on Sparta Praha. Let's expect Man City to rest heavy in this one. Going up against a Sparta Praha that just has so much more quality than City. I expect a lot of players to be rested for City. With them, being in a firm title race, having to take on Southampton this weekend. Then they have another midweek game next week. Can't see much of the key players. I think we'll see a mixed match team. I think this is the perfect opportunity for Guardiola to rest. This game is also being played at home, which will give it even better an opportunity for some of the second team to get the result in this one. Expect to see some players that haven't been really that involved so far this season. I think City are definitely going to get the win there. Atletico Madrid take on Lille. Lille caused a massive upset last week going up against the other big team in Madrid, taking on Real Madrid. They want to do something similar, but I think it'll be very difficult going away to the Metropolitano, now called the Riyadh Air Metropolitano. Atletico Madrid, they do have a tendency of playing down to the opposition sometimes. They cannot allow that. The hunger needs to be there. I think that they'll be up for it because these are the sort of games that they get the results in, and they take advantage of these low opposition at home. These are results that they don't necessarily fall apart in. They had a really sour taste in their mouth from their last Champions League game when they went against Benfica and got trounced. They need to get this result. They will get this result. These are the sort of games that they always get that result in. So, Young Boys taking on Inter. Young Boys playing this game at home. Inter, they'll win this game. Far better quality. Young Boys, one of the bottom feeders in this Champions League campaign. Inter has more than enough quality to win that one. Talking about Barcelona Bayern. Last one, Leipzig taking on Liverpool. These are games against two Pot 1 teams. They came in both as Pot 1 teams. Liverpool, they're sitting 2 wins from 2 in the Champions League. Big win over AC Milan in the opening game going away. Now you take on a Salzburg team Leipzig team that as a Pot 1 team, they've really underwhelmed. They're currently sitting 0-2. They lost to Juventus 3-2. They lost to Atletico Madrid as well. Huge game for RB Leipzig. As a Pot 1 team, you cannot go down, with 0 points in their first 3 games. Put yourself in a really difficult position chasing. The good thing about this Champions League format, or bad thing depending on what angle you look at it, you're never really out of it. It won't take that much point to get to that 22nd or 24th that gets you into that that playoff to get in. So it's not gonna take it that much to get there, but you have to start from somewhere. Now, going up against Liverpool, that's a difficult place to start. I think Leipzig will play off the energy of playing at the Red Bull Arena in Leipzig, which could be an electric atmosphere that they take advantage of. But Liverpool, they've been there. They have a good balance to them. They also have a big They also have a big game coming up this weekend against Arsenal. So we'll see how they mix and match for this one. I don't expect that much. I expect this to be a full team. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this one. I do say Liverpool are still, clear favorites. They haven't been much of a slipper. This is a team that hasn't had much slip-ups to this season. Had one bad result. Can't see another in this one. Short break here coming up. When we come back, we'll react to some of the top soccer headlines. before the break, we did a full preview of Wednesday's Champions League fixtures. We move on to react to some of the top headlines going on in the soccer world. And we have to start off with Neymar. We actually couldn't get to this. This happened a few days ago now, but Neymar made his return after being out with a year with that bad torn ACL and MCL that he suffered playing for Brazil. And he made his return after 300 or more than 365 days. 65 days, but he made that first appearance in over a year as he came off the bench in the second half of Al Hilal's Champions League game against Al Ain. He replaced Nasser Al Dawsari in the 77th minute. And he almost made an instant impact as well. Played a nice 1-2 with Mitrovic and created an opportunity for himself to fire a shot. And it was slightly wide of the left post. The game actually finished 5-4 to Al Hilal. On the pitch after the full-time whistle, Neymar said, "I feel good. I always have a good team. I'm so happy. I'm back. It's great to see Neymar play back. It's been so long since he hasn't played, and he's such a brilliant and talented footballer. I hate when he's out injured. It's just really frustrating, especially when you think about what he's been in his career. I hope he's able to get back to what he was, and quite frankly, Brazil need him as well. He's an important part of Brazil with the way this national team has been playing since he's been out. Hopefully they're able to hopefully Brazil is able to figure it out. Rafinha talked about the Nico Williams Barcelona shirts. He was heard about some of the speculation around how Nico Williams they were really trying to sign Nico Williams in the summer. He called it disrespectful, and it left a bad taste in his mouth. And he was also very disrespected with a photograph he saw of a fan wearing a Nico Williams shirt that had number 11 on the back of it. Not with number 11 on the back of it, which is what Rafinha wears. It was Nico Williams in a Barcelona shirt. And Rafinha, he said, "I saw these posts with the shirt on Instagram. I thought it was a joke and bad taste, and it was disrespectful. People need to respect the players that are here. We're here giving our best, and we're fighting for the club. To see a photo like that, it wasn't very nice for me. I took it as a lack of respect. Of course, people are free to do what they want, but I did feel a little hurt in that moment. It wasn't an added motivator to start the season in the way I did. I was anxious to give my best for the club, seeing how many years of my contract I have here. It was a crucial point. I started the season knowing to play here I have to adapt to a different position and a different style of play. In the past, I gave 100%. Now I give 200%, and I'm always willing to do that for the club. It's been part mental and part tactical, but it's also very important for me to have the confidence of the coach and my teammates. My mentality at the beginning of the season was different from other years. I knew I had to adapt to a new position to play here. Look, whatever was done in the summer, I don't know what it was, but Rafinha looks like a totally different player so far this season. He's been absolutely brilliant. He's been absolutely integral. If he can keep this up, that's the player that Barcelona signed, and they probably wouldn't need to sign Nico Williams. If he could keep this up, he has been absolutely electric and dynamic. Thank you guys for tuning into the GSMC Soccer Podcast presented by the GSMC Sports Network. Your support means a lot to us, so please remember to subscribe to the show and leave a positive review. It really does make a difference. We also invite you to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram for more content and updates. So thank you once again, and have a wonderful, wonderful day.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like